Today I have the honor of introducing one of the, I think, youngest honorees. I've been with Support Life only 5 years. So I think 20-year-olds are kind of future of self-advocacy. So today, this is a nod to where self-advocacy is going, and inclusion, of course. So I've known Andy Voss for about 1.5 years now. I've been really impressed by his vision and message. Andy speaks up for the inclusion of those who are traditionally thought to be difficult to include, autistic men, women, and children, no matter where they fall on the spectrum. Andy is a man on a mission to redefine conventional thinking about autism. Is autism really the death of all possibilities? Or is it an opening of other, different possibilities and ways of living in the world? Andy Voss is an autistic man, not a man with autism. He puts his artistic identity first, not to exclude, but to say, look, artistic culture has as much to contribute as Italian, Jewish, Black, Latin, any other subset of American cultural fabric. I'm autistic American. That's a radical idea, but autism is not just a genetic condition, but also a way of expression, values, choices, and thought. Cultures have something to contribute, and we mourn their passing because they have something to say, and we have something to learn from them. Andy is thoroughly steeped in a philosophy of neurodiversity, and if you're not familiar with the term, you can Google it now with your telephone link, and if you understand it, you can just copy. In brief, it states we're all on the same spectrum of human experience. We're all subject to HSD, which is human spectrum disorder. Andy does not fit in a box. He's a student of psychology at Sacramento State with aspirations of making his mark in studying human behavior after getting his master's in the field. He's definitely a self-advocate, whether organizing Counter March of Autism Speaks, staging a vigil for an autistic man killed by a relative who lost hope, speaking up in an autism advisory task force, protesting submitting wage paid to people with disabilities, or engaging participants in a discussion at a Mind Summer Institute. Did I mention that he's the first president of ASAN Sacramento Autistic Self-Advocacy Network, which is a nationwide organization headed by Ari Neiman, who is the first autistic man appointed to Presidential Commission on Disabilities. Knowing Andy is a learning experience. One of the first things Andy told me when we met was, don't try to change us. Just help us be the best version of ourselves. We need allies. I think I'm finally trying to figure out what that means, and maybe slowly learning how to do that. I would like you to welcome Andy Voss, who demonstrates every day inclusion does not have fine print.
I'd like to thank my mom, stepdad, dad, stepmom, and girlfriend for coming all the way here tonight. I'd like to thank Jody Johnson for lending a listening ear, a crying shoulder, and a bucket load of tools at a time when we needed them the most. I'd like to thank Ed Plon and Zach Miller, my second in command, for supporting me all the way. I'd like to thank Robert, Steve, and all my constituents without whom I would not be here today. I come from a community where we are not known in the mainstream for our capacity for relationships. Too many of us are taught to speak by those who refuse to listen, taught to blend in by those vying for attention and validation, taught to socialize by the anti-social. We are given a way to engage with humanity that only makes sense when we embrace exclusion, but when we embrace inclusion, when love becomes the core of all we do, the world begins to make less sense. And one of three things happens to potential self-advocates at this junction. Door number one. Some decide that the system works. Everything is fine. We have everything and everyone we need. But the idea that this world is just comes from ignoring the victims and survivors of the unjust. And that is not what we are here to do. Door number two. Some decide that the system is too broken to comprehend, much less work with. They let the perfect become the enemy of the good, and as their hope fades, they let the good become the enemy of the great. Their cynicism traps them in another kind of complacency, where they are too proud to have friends in high places and deprive themselves of progress they could be making. I learned about door number 3 in a conversation about politics with ASAN national co-founder Ari Neiman. He told me that the government is not a monolith, that the clout our community needs does not come from painting the world with a broad brush, but by knowing the system, looking for ends, and taking baby steps towards our enfranchisement, one local action at a time. It is the path of the loving realist that will set us free. It is the path of the loving realist that has inspired me to cast aside the macabre dance of feigned normalcy and become who I am. This community has given me the best friends I've ever had, the most meaningful work I've ever done, honors that actually feel like honors. And I vow to live up to the accolade this achievement entails. I vow to teach the advocacy of self and others to my peers. I vow to do all in my power to develop and nurture the autistic community and other disability communities of Sacramento. Our first year was only the beginning. We will snatch this city from the jaws of apathy and usher in a new era of acceptance, community, and pride. Nothing about us without us!